It's the hope that kills you. It really is. I'm recording this on Tuesday at 7:45 a.m. and in the past hour, Fabrizio Romano has doubled down on a small hours of the morning bomber from Paul O'Keefe that Tottenham Hotspur are in talks with both Ebereche's representatives and Crystal Palace about a cross-London move for the English playmaker. This all on the back of a second bid for Savinho yesterday and reports that Manchester City are lining up Rodrigo from Real Madrid as his replacement. It's hard to take. We've been burned so many times before. Do we allow ourselves to believe that we might see these two geniuses holding up the lily white shirt? Or should we ignore it all, play safe in the knowledge that they won't come to the lane and we'll be left with a disappointing German loanee at the end of the window? I'll be discussing all of this and more in today's daily Tottenham transfer news. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, please do give this video a like. Please subscribe to the channel for daily Tottenham Hotspur transfer news, but I've got to get straight into it. Like I said, in the last hour, Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham are back in talks for Ebereche, and this is a separate deal than that for Savinho, aka they want to bring both into the lane. Spurs trying again for Eze while they work on Savinho following James Maddison's injury and Sonny's exit. And here's the key part for me from Fabrizio Romano. Eze keen, but deal depends on Palace as the release clause has expired. This came from a tweet, I think, in the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 a.m. from Paul O'Keefe saying Tottenham have made contact over a deal for Ebereche Eze. Talks have taken place. And then it was yesterday evening that I first saw a little note from an ITK saying Spurs now considering challenging Arsenal for Eze alongside Savinho. How do you feel, Spurs fans? Like I said in the intro there, I just feel like I've been burnt so many times, but I want it. I want it so badly. Can you imagine lining up in the same team, Kudus and how good he is with his back to goal, taking on players, wanting the ball all the time, alongside Eze drifting on the other side, coming to take the ball off the midfielders, coming to take the ball off the back four. And then Savinho with his absolute brute pace, working off the left or the right. If he's on the right, Kudus may be playing in the 10 or Eze in the 10. I found myself in the shower this morning just being like, please let me have good things. Please let me have good things. I've heard these reports all summer long that Tottenham are actually desperate to spend about £200 million of their own money and then hopefully get £100 million in for sales as well that they can spend. And obviously we haven't had much luck with the sales, only really getting rid of Sonny for £20 million, but it's getting like crunch time. And we've already left it too late to get these players in, or any players in, other than Kudus and Palhinha and Takai for the Super Cup final tomorrow night. But it seems like if these stories are true, that Tottenham are trying to pull the trigger on actually getting Thomas Franks and players who would genuinely improve our first team no end. Now, my only fear is, and I have to play devil's advocate here, is every summer, seemingly, we get to this moment where we're interested and linked with these big name players and it doesn't come through. It rarely comes through. And then what happens is the corner of the Spurs fan base are like, Daniel Levy did this on purpose. So he leaks this interest on purpose to get people trying to buy season tickets or trying to get people interested in the club and take the weight off himself. He's heard that there's a protest being planned before the Burnley game and all this stuff. And I just desperately don't want that to be the case this time. But to cover my back, I released a TikTok and YouTube short yesterday where I basically sarcastically said we're definitely going to get these players because, you know, we always get these players, Bastoni, Lautaro Martinez, etc., etc. So I'm trying to cover my back, but believe me, I want these players so badly. I think they could genuinely turn what is, you know, a good squad with a lot of young, exciting talent suddenly into a team that nobody would want to play against. Nobody. Our back four is actually really strong when all fit. And obviously we've added a bit of depth and a bit of bite with Palhinha, and he'll take some time to get up to speed, but he's got Premier League experience. But if we added Savinho and Eze alongside Kudus and then get Solanke back fit, you just know that that's a big, physical, strong side who all want to get on the ball. And as far as I'm concerned, we haven't had a team at Spurs who've all wanted to get on the ball and actually been comfortable playing in tight spaces since Pochettino's best teams of kind of 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18. So I'm allowing myself to believe on this Tuesday morning, but I do feel like if Tottenham are going to get these players, then it has to be done quickly before other clubs get the chance to get their ducks in a row. Because we know that Arsenal are interested in Eze, but I feel like they've spent so much money this summer already that they have to get players out probably before they bring him in. And Spurs are going to have to just try and beat them to the punch. That's how I feel about it. Let's be brave enough to go into Ebereche Eze's stats from last season in the Premier League. 34 appearances, so he stays fit. Another thing that Tottenham need to invest in is players who stay fit throughout the season. We suffer from injuries far too much. Think how many games Romano misses and Van der Ven, and then even Solanke and Richarlison just miss far too many games. So 34 appearances, 8 goals, 8 assists. 0.24 goals per match, 102 shots, 29 on target. That's just in the Premier League. All comps. Added to those 34 appearances, 8 goals in the Premier League, 5 appearances, 4 goals in the FA Cup. Big game player, Ebereche Eze. 4 appearances, 2 goals in the League Cup, leading to 43 appearances and 14 goals total. Ebereche Eze is 27 years old now, England international, and he has this release clause of, I think it's 58 million. Might even be 68 million. But anyway, this release clause that some people say Fabrizio Romano says this has already expired, but then some people saying that actually it expires on the first day of the Premier League season. The key to me for me as to why I think these talks are now happening is yesterday Crystal Palace found out that they won't be in the Europa League. They'll be in the Europa Conference League. Mad Marinakis of Nottingham has done the dirty on Crystal Palace and found Forest's way into the Europa League at Palace's expense. And so I think basically now Mark Gay is in talks with Liverpool and Spurs are trying to steal a march on Arsenal to get Ebereche Eze in. And like I said, I just think it would be an absolutely wonderful signing. Let me know in the comments what you think. Okay, moving on to the Savinho deal. I talked about this in yesterday's video, but it's moved on, and all the reports coming out are that the reputable journalists, the likes of Ornstein, O'Keefe, Fabrizio Romano, they think there is a high chance that Tottenham can get this one over the line. And that is why Man City are now going in hard for Rodrigo. They wanted someone maybe a little bit further down the line in terms of their development, even though Savinho has done really well for them. And Savinho, with a World Cup year coming up, wants to play basically every game he can. So apparently Spurs' first bid was around 50 million euros. That was rejected by Manchester City. Negotiations continue. Tottenham expected to come back with a bid for 60 million euros next. Man City wants 70 million euros. So it feels like there's a compromise to be made there. The player really keen on the move, according to Fabrizio Romano. Like I said, he wants to play every game and to feel important. Personal terms will not be an issue. Thomas Frank really pushing for Tottenham to sign him. He wants the player at Spurs. So that was Fabrizio Romano's talk on it yesterday. More reports, Savinho has given the green light to join Tottenham and is now waiting for the clubs to find an agreement. The conversations began last week, and the projection between the parties, between both clubs, is that it won't become a soap opera. They both want a deal to be done. The Times said yesterday, and this links into the latest news on Ebereche Eze, that Spurs want to sign a creative midfielder in addition to signing Savinho. So let's go into Savinho's stats from last season. In the Premier League, 29 appearances. So again, stayed pretty fit. Only 1 goal, but 8 assists. Obviously, with a squad as deep as Manchester City and a player as young as Savinho, he only, remember, came in last season for about, I think it was like £30 million all in. But he did come from one of Manchester City's sister clubs. So, you know, a little bit of money has been taken off that. But a young player trying to find his way up in the hierarchy of megastars at Man City. So to get 8 assists is okay. It's pretty good. And only 1 goal. He'll need to improve on that. 55 shots, 21 on target, shooting accuracy of 38%, 11 big chances created. But one of the key things for Savinho, for me, is the absolute fear of God that he puts into opposition defenses, and that would free up space for other players, for the likes of Kudus, for the likes of Solanke, and, you know, dare I say it, if we were to actually get the good things that we so deserve, Ebereche Eze maybe. Savinho totaled 11 assists across all comps. So in the Champions League last season, 9 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist, pass accuracy 86%. These are 2 players, like I said, that I just think would absolutely rip it up at Tottenham Hotspur. And we're clearly going for players with pace and power and desire to take people on one-on-one. And that is something that we've all talked about during the Ange years that we're really missing. Certainly Nathan from the Extra Inch, great podcast. Make sure you listen to that if you don't already. He's been talking about the so-called dribbly winger for a long time. Well, Savinho is the ultimate dribbly winger, and we already have Mohamed Kudus on the other side. Let's get all these players together, young players, hungry players who want to grow with this club, want to play every game, and play some really good football as well. Because all those players, like I said, they just want to get on the ball. They want to come deep for it. They want to pick it up and then drive at the opposition. And also really suits Thomas Frank, who clearly wants to play a transitional style of football. Suck up a little bit of pressure where necessary with our great back four, good shot stopper behind them, and then hit with pace and power and hit them where it hurts, and also be really devilish from set pieces. That's clearly what Thomas Frank wants, what he thinks suits Tottenham in terms of the kind of players we can get and the budget we have. And listen, we all know that in some of Spurs' best years, remember when we had Rose and Walker breaking down the flanks under Pochettino, we were just devilish on the transition. And I think we can be that again. Okay, just going into some more Spurs news, transfer news. Bologna have asked for information about Bryan Hill. He wants to leave Spurs this summer. I think it makes sense. Let's hope we can get, at this point with Bryan Hill, I think we just got to accept it's been a failure and take, if we can get anywhere close to £10 million for Bryan Hill, snap their hands off. Mikey Moore has signed a new contract at Spurs. He turned 18 yesterday, signed his deal, currently on loan for Rangers. He hasn't played for them yet, as far as I can tell, but I'm looking forward to seeing how he does there. And Luka Vuskovic has given the green light to a loan move to Hamburg. The club are just waiting for Spurs to give their approval to the move so the deal can be finalised. I could be wrong, and this could bite me in the arse as it gets announced in the next hour or two, but I think we'll keep Luka Vuskovic till towards the end of the window. Because obviously Takai is out injured, Dragoshin's still out injured, and need a bit of cover for Romero and Van de Ven, because behind them is only Danso and Ben Davis. But let's see what happens. All right, guys, before I go on to some quotes from Thomas Frank before the big Super Cup final tomorrow night, once again, please, if you're on YouTube, give this video a like, press subscribe for daily Tottenham transfer news throughout the rest of this window. Also, press that notification button so you know when my content drops. And you'll see in the description box below a link to the Football Content Awards. It's the last few days where people can give their nominations. If you like my content, please do click on that link and give me a nomination for one of the 2 suggested categories that I put in that description box below. Okay, Thomas Frank was asked how he feels about the Super Cup being his first competitive match in charge of Spurs. He says it's a fantastic challenge to have in the first game, but of course, we do believe in ourselves. We're going to a final and there'll be one objective: to win it. We don't see it as a test. We see it as 2 good teams against each other, and we want to win. Should say, with PSG coming up tomorrow night, PSG have only been back in training for a week because they had to have 3 weeks off after the World Club Cup final. That's FIFA rules. And they haven't played any friendlies. And now their goalkeeper, Donnarumma, who I think is one of the top 2 or 3 goalkeepers in the world and was pretty much, a big part of their Champions League winning run, he has been bombed out by Paris Saint-Germain, and he is now looking for a move to the Premier League with Man United and Chelsea supposedly interested. Part of me wishes that we were looking for a keeper because he's so good, but I'm pleased he's not playing tomorrow night. And João Neves also not available because he's suspended, having got sent off in the final of the Club World Cup. So, PSG have a massive and incredibly strong squad, but 2 of their important players not available. Might be a good time to play them. It'll be very difficult. If we play anything like that Bayern Munich game, we'll get absolutely whacked. But if we play like we did against Arsenal just a week or so before, then we've got a chance. We really do. Thomas Frank went on to say, we need to build on the fact that the club won a massive trophy in Europe. We would like to win a trophy again. Yes, Thomas Frank, we really would. And imagine if we could turn them over somehow. And there will be extra time in that game if the game is a draw, which is kind of a bit of a bummer with Burnley on Saturday coming into view. But, if we made it to extra time, then I'd be pretty happy with that, to be quite honest. It would mean our fitness should take hold, but let's see what happens. Thomas Frank was also asked on what he's looking for in a new captain after the departure of Son Heung-min. He said, I'd like a captain that can bring the group together and can set standards. So for the captain to be one of the best trainers, if not the best trainer. Also that he hopefully can get around the squad and just be with everyone. I mean, I have to say, I said this a little bit yesterday, I'll say it again. All of the little kind of things that the tidbits that Thomas Frank is coming out with about the captain doesn't lead me to believe that he has full belief that Christian Romero should be his captain, because a lot of reports I've heard down the years is that Romero can be a little bit absent from training at times. So let's see. But I guess we will find out today or tomorrow, because it's the big cup final tomorrow night. Guillermo Vicario was asked his goals for the coming season, or the club's goals. He said, "We need to improve our league position. Last year wasn't good enough. We'll try in 5 competitions starting tomorrow night. We have an opportunity to win another trophy. We know it'll be hard playing against probably the best team in the world at the moment, but we want to be successful." He was asked about Thomas Frank. He said he's focused and clear on what the team has to deliver on the pitch, both attacking and defending. Now we are on the way. It's on us how we can be focused and tuned into his instructions. If we do it 100% every game, even when the toughest period of the year comes, we'll get a lot of joy. And then Vicario was asked whether he feels he is a possible captain as Sonny has left the club. He says, "It doesn't matter who has the armband. It is on us, especially the older players, to be respectful to each other and try to show in a very good way. We have a lot of good characters in QT, Ben Davis, Mickey Van de Ven, Dominic Solanke, and Madders. It's on us to lead the dressing room and do what Sonny did over the last 2 years." And finally, he was asked about Ange Postecoglou and his sacking. He said, "I texted Ange when I heard the news. I will always be linked to him because we created history on that night. He was a manager on that special night when we lifted the Europa League trophy. I can just say lovely words about him. He's a great character and he gave me the opportunity to play in the Premier League and confidence in my abilities to be the first choice goalkeeper. I will be thankful for my whole life." I really love Vicario. I don't want it to come across like I don't. I just think the reason I said it's a shame that Spurs aren't in for a keeper is because Donnarumma is so magnificent. I've rated him my entire the last 10 years or so since he came in really young. However, I imagine his wage demands, Donnarumma, will be absolutely ginormous, and that's probably why only Chelsea and Man United are being linked with him. And it would make sense as a signing for both of them. But anyway, with just 1 day to go until the European Super Cup final, and I don't know, I'm overly excited about the possibility of signing Eze and Savinho. I should calm myself down. But like I said, do let me know how you feel about it in the comments. Could we get those players over the line? Maybe. Do give this video a like. Please press subscribe on YouTube, and also come and find me on the audio podcast platforms, Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Type in the Spurred On podcast and give me a follow and a subscribe and a rating over there. Enjoy your Tuesday, guys. Come on, you Spurs.